On the road to the Final Four, we join you today from Gainesville, Florida. Regular season finale in the SEC, the Kentucky Wildcats and the Florida Gators. Kentucky has already clinched the regular season title. Florida, with a victory, will get the #2 seed in the upcoming conference tournament in Nashville. Hi, everybody. Ian Eagle, Jim Spinarkle, the rest of our CBS crew. 8 days away from Selection Sunday, and Kentucky's dealing with a little bit of drama right now. Ashton Hagans, there was some on-court tension in the loss to Tennessee just a couple of days ago. Hagans did not make the trip. John Calipari, the head coach of the Wildcats, tweeted, "Ashton is not with us in Florida. He and I met a couple of days ago. He has to step away for a couple of days for personal reasons. I support his decision. We're going to need him at 100% for the postseason." That was followed by a Hagans tweet. "Let's get this win, fellas. Love you all, boys. Be back and better." So Kentucky is without one of the best defensive guards in the nation in Ashton Hagans. They've got excellent guard play, but this is a big hit for the Wildcats.
Yeah, and clearly we hope that he's okay. And then after that, there are two parts to this. Tomorrow in the postseason, you worry about that tomorrow. But this particular game, big impact, because I think this really gives Florida's guards a real advantage at both the offensive end and the defensive end. You look at some of the numbers that Quickley and Maxey can put up. They average about 33 minutes a game, and so does Hagans. This is not a deep team in the backcourt for Kentucky, so how do they make up for those minutes?
All right, Jimmy, let's check out our AT&T fast analysis.
Now, one of the things that Kentucky will look to do is they will try to establish Nick Richards, who's really established himself as a great post-up player, shooting the ball at 66% down low. They'll feature him in the blocks and allow him to go one-on-one if they can get that. Florida, on the other hand, a selective transition offensive team, but they will look to play the passing lanes when they get it. They'll push it, and if they get an open shot before you get settled, especially if Noah Locke gets the ball, he shoots it at 43% from the three-point line.
And a chance for Florida today to cement their postseason resume. Kentucky and Florida, terrific rivalry in the SEC. We'll have starting lineups and opening tip coming up from the O-Dome next. Farm. Chick-fil-A. It's the little things that make game day worth celebrating. And by Bud Light Seltzer. It's unquestionably good. It is Kentucky and Florida today in Gainesville. John Calipari, we spoke with him yesterday. He said, we're a game-to-game team. We go with whoever has got it going. That's who we are. Well, today, this is who they've got in the starting lineup. Maxey, Quickley, Brooks gets the nod for Hagans, Montgomery, and Richards. Gators with Nembhard, Locke, Lewis, Johnson, and Blackshear. Mike White, his team is 19-11. They're coming off a come-from-behind win at Georgia on Wednesday night. They went on a 10-0 second-half run that helped spring the rally. 4 straight home wins for the Gators. Doug Shows, Tud Austin, Byron Jarrett, our officiating crew. Florida controls the tip. We're underway at the O'Connell Center. Keontae Johnson has been playing at such a high level throughout the season. Undersized power forward, but so versatile.
Yeah, he's had a great February.
Nice duck under. Scotty Lewis gets the scoring started.
I think Lewis will be a wild card in this game, too. It's a good start for him. One of the players, he had 11 against Georgia, but he started the last 11 or so. So watch for him to be active. And a little turnover, it's going to go the other way. And right off the bat, Florida's defense makes a stance.
Kentucky had won 8 in a row prior to that surprising loss to Tennessee on Tuesday night, 81-73. They led the Volunteers by as many as 17 points. Blackshear on senior day, the grad transfer from Virginia Tech, gives it up. Off the fake by Locke.
You always have to watch for Richards lurking around.
Another backdoor. Nembhard feeds it. Lewis to the cup. He finishes with the offhand.
How about turning down the three-point shot where he's not all that bad, too, but the drive. I think that's one of the things that Florida will try to establish early on here. The other thing to look at with the Kentucky offense, you know, when you think of Hagans, he's the guy who runs the show. Let's see if there's a little disconnect here. There was in the first possession. Let's see what happens here in the second.
Here's Maxey, shot clock winding down, lob it up. Richards the catch, and Richards could not convert.
Just enough of Johnson and then Blackshear Jr. coming across to make sure that was snuffed out.
Nembhard gets Florida into its offense. Johnson, book it for three.
Just what Kentucky was not hoping to happen here with a little bit of change. Different lineup starting things off. Florida comes out ripping 7-0 early on. And here's the drive. You get the guys standing, you lock up, and Brooks defensively was not a factor. And here it's nobody coming out to contest, and they're good contesting threes, Kentucky.
And now time for Inside March Madness, presented by Buick. The tournament resume for the Florida Gators, 11-6 in the conference. Good net rating. Strength of schedule also strong. Current Jerry Palm projection is a 9 seed for Florida.
Yeah, this will make a stamp. Even without Hagans, this will be a very, very good win. There's that post up for Richards down low.
And he gets in there for two.
Even with Johnson trying to double team him again with Blackshear, Richards has gotten strength. He doesn't look all that powerful, but he has gotten bigger and stronger.
Johnny Juzang is in. He has replaced Keon Brooks. Blackshear to the rim, off the mark. And it's going the other way. Blackshear on a hard drive. Richards was checking if he got hit and there might be some blood.
Yeah, and watch the end of this play right there. You see that, like, that right arm come across and gets Richards, boy, kind of in the nose and the face.
And the officials are heading over to the monitor, Jim.
Yeah, you know, and I look at that. My first instinct is it's a drive to the basket. I don't think there's anything in terms of a flagrant and unnecessary. It's part of basketball because Richards trying to come and block the shot. Blackshear going together. They merge. I think this should be a common foul.
And that's what it appears to be. Common foul. Kentucky takes over. Offensive foul on Kerry Blackshear Jr.
Yeah, and it's the correct call in both ways. Especially, you know, if he hits him with that arm iron, he hits him in the chest, they don't go look at this. But the fact that he got it above the shoulders, that's a little different.
7-2, Florida in front.
See what kind of flow they can get into here. They've established Richards one time. I'd go right back to him, especially with Blackshear with that first foul. There they go. Get it to him, give him some room, and let him go one-on-one if he can.
Another touch and a kick. Quickley, candidate for SEC Player of the Year, misses on the floater. And it's rebounded by Keontae Johnson.
You like the company we have behind us?
Well, it's the entire student body. They've shown up, Jimmy.
They're allowed to.
It's like having 1,000 extra people in the booth. Noah Locke the miss. He gets out of there with an offensive rebound.
I didn't think you noticed. Look at Richards outside.
Shot clock down to 12. Locke is matched up with the big. Loop it out for Johnson with a timer down to 7. Entry. Blackshear, tough delivery, and it's rebounded by Maxey.
And there's the squeeze by Montgomery and Richards, both finding out that Blackshear, they'll want to establish him a little bit and keep the bigs busy at the Kentucky's defensive end. There's that decoy lob that we showed in the beginning of the broadcast. Now he's got a size advantage.
Richards rims out.
He missed that one because it's a size advantage against Lewis. You got to turn and jump hook.
Wow, up top, Skywalker, Keontae Johnson.
And that's when you're a guard and you toss one up there and that's just a touch off, it appears at first. Sure is nice for a guy to be able to leap up there and cure all the possible errors, but right on the money to finish that off.
And a 9-2 advantage for Florida. Quickly, a lot of contact. Wow. He banks it home. Ran into a wall and still got the shot off.
Yeah, that was Blackshear who just stopped him in his tracks initially.
Backdoor, Nembhard. He's got good size. In and out, it was halfway down for the Aurora, Ontario native. Florida is 4 of 8 from the field. Kentucky is 2 out of 5. Quickley floats it home. Emmanuel Quickley cuts into the Florida lead. It's 9-6 Gators. Last 4 games, Quickley has been on a tear. Blackshear hands to Nembhard. Kick it out. And it's going the other way. Turnover, Florida. 15-17 to play in this opening half. Keontae Johnson can get upstairs for the Gators. Major vertical. Got you covered. CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. Gators with a 9-6 lead over Kentucky. Florida made a three-pointer early, which is a good sign because against Georgia, they missed their first 12 three-point attempts.
Yeah, one of the things about Florida, Ryan, is if they can get that done on the outside, they'll be in good shape.
All right, loop it inside. Richards a back in with the left hand. Would not go down. It nearly got wedged in there, and it's tracked down by Johnson. Handed off to Nembhard. Just over 5 minutes gone by in this first half. Locke gives it up, and now will work it to Nembhard with 8 to shoot. Jatobo is in for Florida, and the short hop goes down. Gators under control on the offensive side. Nembhard comes in averaging 11 points per game. And it's an offensive foul, turnover. Andrew Nembhard, 6'5", 193, mature, good vision. He's looked to score more in his sophomore season. Changes here. Kentucky, Nate Sestina in for the first time.
Florida continues to use that four-guard look, too, Ryan. They like to spread it out as much as they possibly can, open up a couple of driving areas.
Trey Mann is in. Lewis.
It's going to go the other way.
So the turnover by Florida. Lewis was trying to get towards the rim. He and Mann were not on the same page.
No, and it bounced off his foot, too, looking up and just lost control of that dribble on that play.
So Kentucky trying to weather this storm from Florida early.
And sometimes it just takes one or two trips to get yourself back into a flow, but the switching defenses has caused them a little bit of a problem because you don't know without your point guard, Hagens, on the floor, what offense are you supposed to run?
9 to shoot. Maxey. He'll go cross court. Sestina cans it. It's a three.
He shoots it at 40%, and that's really a relief to see that shot go down, especially on the road. You know, if you're Kentucky now, the way you're struggling just to get continuity in your offense, it's a big-time shot.
And a 2-point lead for Florida. Trying to reverse it. Johnson. And Kentucky controls. Chance to tie or take the lead.
Yeah, you get two consecutive good possessions, and then you're right back into it mentally.
Sestina could not go back-to-back, and it's rebounded strong side by Nembhard.
Maybe a little quick on that one. I know he just hit that shot, the three-pointer a moment ago, but work the clock. Make sure you get Florida working a little bit more defensively. Good hands, Sestina.
Ball was tipped. Mann's pass deflected and stolen. Third Florida turnover.
Wow.
Maxey, what a move, but he couldn't finish it.
Wow, what a beautiful crossover on the baseline just then.
Good play, Jason.
So they got the big body in. Jason Jatobo from Nigeria. Another freshman for Florida. This is a young team, youngest team in the SEC. Normally we say that about Kentucky.
Right, this big upside for Florida.
Corner three, Scotty Lewis with a rainbow delivery.
So you want to keep the crowd engaged as much as you can here in terms of Florida making threes. They shoot the ball very well, best in the SEC at the three-point line. And Kentucky defends it, #1 in the league defensively.
So it's Quickley and Maxey who've been handling it, mostly Maxey. Montgomery pops, rimming out. Rebounded by Nembhard. Nembhard was held to just 4 points in the first meeting between these two teams. That was a Kentucky victory on February 22nd, 65-59. Quickley had 26 points in that game. Maxey ended up on
Nice
the ground.
look.
Inside. Jatobo can't finish, but he is going to the free throw line.
So spread it out a little bit if you can. Nice look there by Nembhard to find the open shooter. Good run for the Gators.
A New Neighborhood, Monday at 8, 7 Central on CBS.
Well, 4 assists for Florida so far in this game on 6 of their field goals, making it happen in terms of really spreading the floor. Here's a beauty for the upstairs leap by Johnson, and another good one to the corner in terms of spreading the floor. Kentucky's having a little bit of trouble reacting, especially to the wing shooters, and that's why they're being separated in terms of putting one big guy in the middle and 4 guys on the wings.
This crowd was juiced up to open play, and Florida lit the fuse with a couple of big shots early. Kentucky settled down a bit, and now Jatobo, who shoots it at 47%, is at the free throw line.
Yeah, only 15 attempts, 7 for 15 from the floor this year. So if you're doing your homework and you're the Kentucky bigs, make sure you're blocking out.
Came to the United States at the age of 13, started playing basketball then. Hamilton Heights in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's where he attended high school. Same high school as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nickel Alexander-Walker, both in the NBA.
Trying to get Quickley a little on track here at the offensive end of the floor, see if he can find some action, but Lewis doing a nice job defensively reading his cuts.
Sestina hands it off for Quickley. Shot clock is down to 5, and it's going the other way. Another Kentucky turnover.
No throwing of the forearm to extend himself.
It is Richards who picks it up. So in a game like this where you don't have Ashton Hagans, you wonder if Richards will play a larger role on the offensive end. There are numbers that show when Richards gets a bunch of touches and a bunch of shots, Kentucky wins.
It should, but I think what Florida has done to negate that early on is they've really thrown a couple of switching defenses at Kentucky, and without Hagans out there, they're having trouble deciphering what to go with, man-to-man or zone.
On a switch, Nembhard had Sestina. Blackshear trying to get involved. Shot clock at 4. It is Quez Glover, a 3. Another Florida freshman. And the Gators are 3 of 3 from downtown. It's a 7-0 run. Quickley, the stop and go. And it's off the mark.
Here's one of the selective runouts. See if they can get something down the floor. Nice pass into the corner. Look at the ball hopping right now.
Swing, swing. Nembhard, no. Snatched inside. Lewis is hacked by Keon Brooks Jr.
There's one team that's playing with the confidence. There's one team playing with the surety of what we're trying to do, and that's the Florida Gators right now. Here working the underneath. Lewis goes up, good fake. One of the things that John Calipari was concerned about, a simple thing, is how well they fake and keep the ball moving, and here's the outside shot for Glover. But what they've done is a combination of shooting the basketball well, Florida, but their ball fakes are generally pretty good, especially when they get in the lane.
And Jimmy, Scotty Lewis has been the catalyst. 7 points. Tack on another for the Hazlitt, New Jersey native. Tyrese Maxey back in. As we mentioned right at the top, Kentucky's not a deep team. With Hagans, they play 8. Without Hagans, they play 7. There are no other options for Kentucky.
Yeah, and emphasizing that point, we'll talk a little bit quickly about Hagans' stat line. 40% on the season, 26 threes, but more importantly, 81% from the free throw line. But he's the assist guy for this team. He just plays well. He sets the table for them and just makes it happen in terms of making their lives easier on the floor.
And now it's a 9-0 run for Florida. Johnny Juzang dump it inside for Brooks. They vacate the area. Brooks against Nembhard.
Nice hands.
Nemhard takes it away. It's out of bounds with 10 to shoot.
Yeah, that's where you try to strip the ball right at his waist. If you have a little disadvantage size-wise or strength-wise, make sure you get your hand down about the thigh to the waist. Watch the right hand. Right there as he's coming up.
Juzang off the inbounds. He drains it. Johnny Juzang from Los Angeles. Limited playing action, 2.7 points per game, but has the reputation for being a big-time three-point shooter.
Yeah, and capable, because against Tennessee, they found that out when he was shooting the ball from the outside, making things happen and shooting it well from the three-point line.
Blackshear gives it up. Glover circles. Oh, the speed! Quez Glover showing off the quickness.
Yeah, if you want to neutralize a big guy, Richards at 6'11", Glover at 5'11", you want to neutralize size, get your big guy moving defensively about 8 feet away from the hoop. Then you have the right of way.
Sestina, extra feed. Richards leans in. It rims out and stripped to the ball. The big man brought it down low.
Yeah, I think it was Nemhard again underneath the basket in traffic just then. The first one, though, Richards has to put away because then the problems occur. You take a look down low and watch for it like you called it. And this is the one he has to put. Now watch, ball down. There's the guard stripping it again. That's Nemhard the second time in the last couple of possessions.
And the foul was given to Nate Sestina as Richards will now get a breather. 8:44 to play in this first half. It's 22-11 Florida. Gators are shooting 57% from the field. Kentucky at 36%.
Yeah, with the zone look right now, I mean, Blackshear will be able to get a top-of-the-key jump shot on if they bring it to the middle a little bit.
Nemhard to Lock. Open look at a three. Off the rim. Offensive board. Blackshear. Attack mode. Johnson thought he was fouled. No call.
That was at Montgomery, I believe, who was challenging him defensively.
Maxey trying to get into the flow here for Kentucky.
Yeah, they keep sliding a double team in his direction when he starts to dribble.
Quickly lines it up. Bottom, a three.
Pretty. That's a good decision, too. You go over that top of the screen out high, and they run a lot of that Kentucky action, the pick and roll up high. Based on what your defender is doing, that's the quick read by Quickley.
This is a Florida team that was ranked preseason number 6 in the country. High expectations. Noah Locke drops in a triple.
And as we talked about earlier and on the open, he's 43% from the three-point line. If you're choosing to leave him alone for shooting practice, it's going to be a long afternoon for Kentucky.
And this equals Florida's largest lead of the first half, 11, 7.5 to play.
Here's the matchup that they've been playing that's giving Kentucky some problems. It looks like a man-to-man, and sometimes it switches back, but it's really a matchup defense. That's going the other way, too, with the elbow leading by Quickley.
The foul on Quickley, that's number 2. Timeout in Gainesville.
A little shooting practice here, and watch, the big guy's moving. That doesn't mean he's fast enough to catch up to the 5'11 Glover.
All right, let's take a look at the Jersey Mike subs game summary. Kentucky at 6 of 15 from the field. They have had a tough time stopping Scotty Lewis.
Well, he came out, he was active to start things off, just going towards the basket. And one of the things about Florida is they're not the best driving team, but they are a driving kick type of team. They don't finish that well, but Lewis has matched both the driving and the shooting from the outside to give them a real good lift with 9 points, going above his season average by a point.
Kentucky has 16 fouls. Florida has 1 with 7:22 remaining in this first half. John Calipari, yesterday he said, the zig and zag of our group is that from game to game, we don't know who's going to step forward. Obviously, the Hagans news was broken earlier today. I asked him about Hagans and what happened in the last game. He seemed to have a bit of an issue with him. Hagans got into it with Richards. And Calipari said, hey, we want to see how Hagans handles it. It has been a struggle for him, his shooting, his confidence. The hope is they get him back for the postseason. Jumper is off the mark for Locke.
And if this is an indication here in the first 13 minutes of how they have trouble running their sets without him, they very much will need him back. Averaging 6 assists per game, and they're missing that right now.
SEC tournament next week in Nashville.
A little isolation for Montgomery.
Montgomery going with the right hand.
You know, the patience of that move was really the key in terms of him clearing people out, making sure that he takes another beat of a second or two to make his move.
25-16 Florida. Little stumble there by Glover. He recovers with 17 to shoot. Using the Blackshear screen. He tried to dump it inside. It's a turnover. Kentucky on the move. Here's Maxey. All the way to the rim. He's fouled.
And one of the things that Mike White, coach of Florida, was concerned about was his transition defense. And the other thing, finally, a Kentucky player going to the free throw line where they're number 3 in the country.
Blackshear was grabbing his left wrist.
Take a look. Where does he? There it is. You see his left hand just then. That's folding up. Not a natural move in terms of your wrist just then.
Kerry Blackshear Jr., his parents in attendance, his sister, brother, girlfriend, all part of the senior day festivities prior to the tip. Kentucky, one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. That's an area where they have a huge advantage over the competition, just a shade under 80%.
But Ian, do you have a real lead, or do you have an edge against the competition if you've only shot 2 of them so far in 12 minutes? Not going to add up. Nice hands, though, again.
And a foul to boot.
I think that's going to be Blackshear, too, losing and grabbing at the same time.
Stream CBS Sports HQ, the completely free and always on Sports News Network. Non-stop highlights, breaking news, expert picks. Download the CBS Sports app on your phone or connected TV to watch today. Blackshear will get a breather. Second foul on him. 5 Florida turnovers with 6 minutes to go in this first half.
So I would say this is not the biggest possession, but just to see what we're made of if you're Kentucky right now. What are you going to do? You're going to isolate Montgomery in the post, get him a touch, and let him go to work? They're covering that pretty nicely in terms of sliding back. Now Montgomery's trying to direct traffic on the right side.
Juzang back in. Floater Maxey, no. Sestina trying to clean it up. And he can't get it to go, but a foul called. So Nate Sestina will shoot a pair.
Yeah, and using his footwork to get to this ball, too. Nice little spin out front. You get a soft shot up, and what does it allow? You see Sestina just gets into the play. He was out 15 feet away. He doesn't watch the play, but he gets involved with it, ends up with good results.
73% free throw shooter. Nate Sestina, the grad transfer from Bucknell. It gives him some physicality. He's stocky at 6'9", 234, and experience.
Yeah, and gives him enough, too, with the points. I mean, not dramatic number. It's just under 6 points, 4 rebounds. But one of the good free throw shooters, again, on this team. That's how you can really win a lot of games if it's close, especially at the end of them.
Yeah, Kentucky has cut it to 5. Overplay there by Keon Brooks Jr. He's called for the foul.
Yeah, it's a right hand out front looking for a deflection, and the left hand causing the foul for him.
And a 1-and-1 coming up here for the Gators. Second foul on Keon Brooks. And because this Kentucky team is not very deep, it's a whole lot of minutes logged by those that play. Scotty Lewis at the line, shoots it at 70%, a McDonald's All-American. Tyrese Maxey, 34 minutes per game. Quickley, 33. Hagans, who's not here in Gainesville, 33. Richards plays 30 as well.
And I agree with the numbers, right? It's important to see what the numbers look like because you take Hagans' numbers out. But then you also have to add who comes in and can perform to the ability of Hagans in terms of what value he brings to this team. So here's a good example of it when you look at this matchup zone right now. How are they going to attack? What are they going to run? Does it look like there's confusion or not? And we'll just let the next 5 seconds play out, and you'll see whether it's confusion or not.
Maxey tried to back it in on the baseline against Omar Payne.
Looks like it's confused to me right now.
5 to shoot. Maxey may have to do it himself. The drive drive, flip doesn't go. Rebound, knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Kentucky.
And if you're Florida and Mike White, you're ecstatic on that defensive set. And that's why you're probably going to switch a couple of the defenses. Keep the guards thinking, because as a guard, you're coming down the floor. The first responsibility you have as a point guard is to come down and assess everything in the first 5 to 7 seconds. Then you're saying to your guys, all right, we're running a certain play. That went right to the shot clock, and they didn't know what they were running just then. But give credit to Florida defensively.
Johnny Juzang back to the Kentucky bench and hearing it from his head coach, John Calipari. Nembhard cut off there by Richards, who's back in. Cutter. Lewis to the rack. You called him an X factor. He's got 13 points. He averages 8 per game.
And how about the extension by Richards, who kind of backed off. He has 1 foul, but he backed off a little bit. And Lewis really reacted. So here's it once again. Same defense, little twist they throw at you. They make it look like a man-to-man once in a while.
Maxey, swing it. Brooks lets it fly. He connects.
So there's a better set, but that was execution defensively again, because Brooks comes into this game shooting 3 for 17 from the three-point line. So if you're going to give up a shot percentage-wise, you...
Scotty Lewis is 4 of 4 from the field, 4 of 4 from the line. The curl by Lewis, left hand no, follow slam, it's Omar Payne.
Part of that one is just to get a shot up in traffic. If you can get that up on the glass, it gives your guy a chance to rebound that on the offensive right side of the floor.
31-23, Florida.
Good drive here against the big.
Quickley in and out, follow goes. Emmanuel Quickley averaging 16.2 points per game.
I love the way he stays on the plate too, Ian, in terms of he shoots the ball. He knows it was going to come off a little bit, but right there to rebound his own shot.
Step back, Jay goes down. Noah Locke from downtown.
So now what Kentucky needs to do is they need to take this crowd out of the game, because Florida's team is feeling pretty good. They're looking a little bit for a diagonal lob for Richards from left to right. They have it right there if they want to go quickly with it, but they don't go there. It's a little more difficult to do that on the road sometimes too.
Maxey pulls the trigger, short. Rebound, Richards knocks it over to Sestina, and a foul is called. It'll work against Florida.
Watch him tuck this away from Richards. There it is on the right side. Brings it across a little bit to the left to finish it off. And nobody home here for Payne just to finish that one off. And a little action. Watch this one with Locke. The step back jumper. It's pure.
Late night on CBS. What will Stevens say as the Democratic field narrows and the race to the White House rolls on? The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. That's new Monday after your late local news. Coming up, AT&T at the half. Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg, Seth Davis. We'll have a breakdown of this first half. Highlights of the top 25 teams in action. And a look ahead. UCLA at USC. That's coming up. AT&T at the half. Well, it's been the Scotty Lewis Show for the Florida Gators. Explosive athlete. Major vertical, and his energy has been infectious.
And when you throw in the scouting report out there and you're preparing, as you look at the field goal percentage allowed by Kentucky for the season, just under 40% today, just under 55%. He's not the guy you want to keep focusing on. Nice set, though, out of the out of bounds.
Absolutely. Juzang nails the jump shot. And as a coaching staff, you just always love this when the execution level is high coming out of a timeout.
Little curl cut right there in the front. Nice work overall to get a much-needed bucket. You're only down 7 points right now if you're Kentucky, so regroup at the defensive end. Good substitution, too, to get Quickley out the defensive side with 2 fouls.
Working around the perimeter. Trey Mann is back in for Florida.
Yeah, this is a matchup defense. You can tell by watching the guys point to the next guy in their area. They come in.
Using the screen. Mann, left hand. crossing over for the deuce.
Said it before, if Richards is waiting for you as a shot blocker, it's totally different compared to when you get him on the move. The guards are really taking advantage of that mismatch.
And the Gators take a 36-27 lead.
I think you got to get a couple of touches to Richards and give him a little room.
Richards operates inside, denied. The block shot by Payne.
That one he should have spun around to the middle where he has a nice jump hook that he didn't elect to go with.
We are under 2 minutes to play in this first half. Lewis using the Payne screen. Mann, the freshman from Gainesville, homegrown product. Locke puts it on the deck. Probing for two.
One of the tricks from a guard position. Locke, no pun intended, your defender on your left hip. If you're a right-handed shooter, work your way in, but don't hurry. Just read. Now you have to read the big guy as you're attacking because the guy is on your left behind you. A good read by Locke.
They have matched their largest cushion of this first half. Entry, Richards misses on the jump hook.
Generally wants to get that in another foot or two closer to the basket.
Mann, the handles all the way. He blew the dunk.
Yeah, I think he could have just laid that one in on the left side just then. He got in between just then. Not that I've never had that problem of being able to decide on a dunk or not.
The jumper goes for Juzang, and it's a three.
But you give up basically a layup at one end and come down and get a three at the other.
And all things considered, Kentucky within single digits here. 38-30.
Uh-oh.
Johnson! He's a high riser!
Ian, we had the perfect look at that from where we're sitting in terms of the angle he had to the basket. Nobody home for Kentucky. And a nice 10-point lead by the Gators.
Gators lead it 40-30 over Kentucky. And Keontae Johnson. This is a full pour by Keontae.
Ooh, very nice. I brought my drinking glasses today. But how about the seam in that defense just then? Wide open and a nice read. Important to get a bucket right here with the last shot for Kentucky to just walk off the floor with some confidence. There's
7
Montgomery,
seconds.
yep.
Montgomery, it was saved by Florida. Johnson trying to beat the clock. Cannot. And we hit halftime in Gainesville. A fired up Florida crowd. The Gators shoot 56% in the first half.
Now there's the initial save, and they push selectively like they're running up and down the floor. He just missed that layup. I don't think it was touched going towards the basket.
We hit the break. 40-30. The Gators on top of the Wildcats. CBS Sports college basketball coverage is sponsored by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA. AT&T 5G. And by Buffalo Wild Wings. Get here for basketball and wings. Getting ready for second half action here in Gainesville. Let's check out the Zaxby's first half stats. A blistering 56% from the field for Florida, 5 of 8 from three-point territory. They control the paint. They spread the ball around. They do basically everything right here at halftime. Ian Eagle, Jim Spinarkle, rest of our CBS crew. March Madness. It's here. You could feel the energy. Sure. Florida certainly believes they're an NCAA tournament team. Maybe one more win would help solidify that. This is going to check a lot of boxes, at least their performance in the first half.
Yeah, the way they played, I think they really ran their offense very, very well. It was a comfort zone that they hit, and they really went after it pretty easily. And defensively, I thought they took Kentucky out of their sets with that matchup defense. And here's another way that they took him out with Richards 1 for 7, a guy who shoots 66% from the floor. They got him drifting away from the basket once, in too close. And one of the adjustments Richards has to make is you see that second one right there, Ian, how close and under and tight he is going up for his shot. I'm sure John Calipari and Kentucky are going to have him catch the ball 3 feet away from the basket and then make your move. Let's see if they go to him early.
And Jimmy, news breaking just before the game that Ashton Hagans is not on the trip to Gainesville with Kentucky. He is back in Lexington. John Calipari and Higgins had a conversation. They decided together that he would not make this trip. And the expectation is that he will return for the postseason, which includes the SEC tournament in Nashville.
So there's the baseline cut, and there's the release. Good little set there to get Richards involved. Get him going. Get some points underneath and get some points in the paint.
Nick Richards, one of the most improved big men in the country from year 1 to year 3. He was a starter mostly as a freshman, then came off the bench as a sophomore, and obviously a much bigger role here in his junior season. Foul called on the other end.
So notice where he's going to catch the basketball this trip. He's going to try to get to his patent jump hook. But look, he's about 4 feet from the basket there, and nice little touch. So he gets the ball, he gets the extension. Blackshear's not going to block that shot on him. Good execution by John Calipari and company to start the half.
Richards is now 2 of 8 from the field. Quickly called for the foul. Locke fakes on the drive.
Mismatch.
Blackshear now wearing a wrap on his left wrist after that fall in the first half. He missed it on the interior. Maxey misses on the catch and fire. And it's knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Florida.
Pretty good effort on the Kentucky offensive glass this past trip to regain possession of the basketball.
And you can see
yes,
Blackshear shaking that. He is certainly uncomfortable right now. The foul prior on Kentucky was the 3rd on Emmanuel Quickley.
And keeping in mind that Blackshear is a right-handed player. Will have an effect on his shooting, though.
Maxey gives it up. Juzang getting the start in this second half. It was Brooks who started the game in place of Higgins.
Well, they went away from Richards' post.
Quickley, he cans it. A leaning 3 for Emmanuel Quickley. He's got 12.
And the beauty of this game is that you can hit the threes and separate yourself. That they do there. Yep.
Noah Locke from beyond the arc.
So sometimes you can squeeze the scoreboard and get close by having a couple of threes go your way. But if you have a guy who can answer like Locke, they just didn't find them in transition.
And Locke can be a streaky scorer. He's got 11. He averages 10.5 per game.
Well, that's going to be an offensive foul again. Richards using the left arm to clear out.
And that is number 2 on the big man, Nick Richards.
John Calipari there, you may have seen him giving like a hugging motion. Is there a hug going on? I don't think so right there. That's just an extension by Richards. And might be tea time over there.
It is. John Calipari just got a technical. Doug Shows with the call as he was walking by. It might have been a warning.
It's a good warning.
He extended out beyond the coaching box.
Yep, exactly. Now, this is when he tells him, obviously, what the call is, but he's looking for a little hugging in there defensively.
Here's Locke. Gets a screen from Johnson.
Oh, boy. Where's that
Too
going?
high. That was going over the head of Lewis is where it was going to the scorer's table. Florida's lead is 8. It feels like Florida has dominated this game.
It really does. You know, a couple of buckets consecutively by Kentucky and a stop puts them right back where they want to be. Nice fake here.
Nasty denied by Johnson. Recovered. Juzang at 3. And it's rebounded by Locke.
Yeah, no offense. That's one of the things that John Calipari said when he's playing small lineups. You're really not going to get many offensive glass opportunities.
Nembhard off the probe and kick.
This guy's been playing well.
Lewis, that quick first step. Locke matched up with the larger Montgomery. Now he's funneled to the other side. 8 to shoot. Nembhard, nice look. Johnson finishes. Terrific vision by Andrew Nembhard.
One of the things that Mike White spoke about to us yesterday is making sure the ball is moving, passing it from side to side. And because they open the floor when they do that, it opens up that backdoor cut and the slice to the basket.
3 minutes gone by in the second half. The lead is once again double figures for Florida. 20 points in the paint for the Gators. Montgomery, that sweeping move, he doesn't get the roll. Knocked out of bounds. Touch last by Kentucky.
After they've used both sides of the floor, take a watch here in terms of the timing of the play. Now Montgomery just falls asleep because really it's almost not even a backdoor cut. It's just a front cut right there with Montgomery not guarding him properly, and he gets a nice clear lane to the basket.
Only 3 losses this season in the SEC for Kentucky: South Carolina, Auburn, and Tennessee.
Good look. Just keep the ball moving.
Johnson pops. Rebound. Out of bounds. Last touch by Jatobo. NCAA tournament projections, Jerry Palm. Kentucky in, currently a 4 seed. Auburn a 5 seed. LSU 10 seed. There's Florida, a 9 seed. Mississippi State right now would be considered in the first 4 out. A lot can happen with the SEC tournament coming up in Nashville.
I just look at Florida as a team that's probably going to be in, win or lose, on this afternoon here.
Quickley.
Let's see if a double comes. Nice drop step.
Drop step and slam. That is a major rack attack by Nick Richards.
And they're trying to feature him here in the second half, getting some touches, getting more offensive oriented. Nice work there, both in just a simple entry pass and a beautiful, as you just mentioned, Diane, beautiful drop step.
Nembhard puts it on the deck. Off the back end, he tried the fend off. Johnson penetrates and kicks for Locke. 8 to shoot. Locke, that's a deep one. Same team, rebounded by Richards.
Where Kentucky needs to get a good shot. Richards with the screen. Now watch, see if they come around and set some screens across.
Sestina was asking for it.
Yeah, I think he's got to go across the floor and set a screen on that play.
Plenty of time on the shot clock. Quickly. Kick, Sestina. Maxey, the push shot, and a foul was called. 15-19 to play in the second half. It's an 8-point lead for Florida.
Get the action going down low, and Richards, there's that drop, and watch this finish. Powerful and emphatic.
And now let's check out our AT&T fast analysis.
One of the things that the Gators have been doing very well is trying to work both sides of the floor. Here you see just a basic couple of dribbles into the middle to get Kentucky to slide in and squeeze the middle of the floor. And then you have a little stroke pass out there for the easy jumper from the outside.
Jimmy, injury update. Kerry Blackshear Jr. will not return with what appeared to be a left wrist injury at the tail end of the first half. Just fell down awkwardly here going for the ball, and the hand got caught underneath his body.
Yeah, as soon as we saw that in that first half, that did not look good. And let's just hope it's a bag of ice that he has there to keep the swelling down, and let's hope it's just nothing more than a kind of a sprain or a strain there.
5 rebounds for Blackshear, 0 of 4 shooting, scoreless.
Nice work by Lewis with the steal.
Locke. Rebounded by Juzang. 5 minutes gone by, second half here in Gainesville. Maxey the penetration.
Yeah.
Oh, rejected, the long arm of the law. Omar Payne.
Well, a fumble just cost Florida a 3-on-1 layup opportunity just then. Now what? Cal is going to get teed up because he's at half court. First is a warning.
So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. He might as well get his money's worth right there. He's coming right out the half court to address his team. I think that was because he reacted to the drive to the basket down the other end where they thought there was a bump before the block shot. So you take a look at Cal up there, and here's the bobble coming down the other way. And they let that play out, and then they go back and address Cal.
So free throw here for Scotty Lewis, who shoots it at 70% at the line. And Gene Steratore, rules analyst, watching along with us back in New York. What'd you see, Gene?
I think Coach knows it's a warranted technical foul. And as an official, from that viewpoint, when you assess a technical foul to a head coach and he starts coaching right away with his team, you do get the feeling like it's almost as if he wants this to get his team going again because he's not going back at the officials over a decision. So that kind of balances out every once in a while from the officiating lens that that's what he's doing too. And I think that may have something to do with that.
Yeah, there was no retort there.
Yeah.
Calipari knew what was coming.
Yep, I thought you were right on with that, Gene. That was like a psychology move by John Calipari on the road here, trying to get his troops revved up a little bit. And Richards just picks up a foul down the other end. It's number 3 on him.
So Richards will
That's right, Jimmy. But he still will continue to officiate every once in a while, though. Don't take that away from him. He's still going to referee from the coach's bench every once in a while.
Oh, look out!
Another great set by Florida. Separating the middle of the floor. The timing absolutely perfect for the lob.
Gators up by 10.
Now the importance of putting it on the floor if you can. Should be a grab down low.
It is Keontae Johnson.
So watch the roll. Where is everybody? Nobody is home. Beautiful set in terms of the screens. If you set good screens and you start the play off with a good screen, you're going to end up with the basketball.
Omar Payne has a 7'5" wingspan, which makes that jam look all the more beautiful on the full extension.
Except for the Kentucky defense.
A breakdown for the Wildcats. And now Kentucky trying to get it done on this end of the floor with Maxey. Shot clock down to 5. Skip for Sestina. Baseline, floater, rimming out.
Yeah, I think that call should be out on the floor. You would think.
Foul called on Keontae Johnson.
Yeah, watch Johnson. He never establishes good defensive position. Watch, he's standing up. And he's really not in good defensive position. His hand is coming out to meet the driver.
So that is number 3 on the sophomore from Norfolk, Virginia. Johnson will take a seat. He is replaced by Dante Bassett, one of the more experienced players on the team, junior from Oakland, California. Half-court set for Kentucky with Quickley. Isolation kick.
See, I think you have to go buy somebody out there in this matchup defense. They're just passing it around the horn and not making a move. Here you go. See, all of a sudden things start to happen on when you basically put it on the floor and drive.
The flip doesn't go, and it's going the other way. It's Quickley. Emmanuel Quickley has picked up his 4th foul.
I like the action by Kentucky to get it moving, get the ball, and do something with it. But here's the step across. See, I'm not a big fan of that call right there, and I think it's probably the right call, but it looked like he almost was in the air. But I don't think, if it's by rule, you can't move once he's in the air. But I still think you have to let the guy gather and get into his shot, because there's nothing Quickley can do right there. That's one of my pet peeves with it. Not a bad call by the officials. I just think it has to be a rule that has to be tweaked.
Noah Locke on a kick for Lewis. Thought about it. Entry. Bassett. Outside. Nembhard a 3.
And the inside-outside work also magnificent by Florida in terms of the patience. Don't go too fast. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Get everybody involved.
It is the largest lead of the day for the Gators, 50-37. Brooks circles. Quickley now on the bench. So it's Maxey handling it with 7 to shoot. Maxey, the drive, the leaner, he's fouled.
Yeah, he's going to have to pick it up, right, Maxey, because of the guard problems that they're having. No Hagans today. And watch the inside action here. Just patience. And then you spot up. The diagonal pass, you want to spot up, and that's exactly what Nembhard does. He doesn't stay on the left side of the floor, but he drifts towards the middle, but not all the way there, so he can, his guy underneath can see him and make an easier pass.
Nembhard now has 5 points, 7 assists, and he has not turned the ball over for Florida. Another free throw here for Tyrese Maxey. McDonald's All-American.
Remember, that free throw line is a real friend for John Calipari's team. They just have to get there more frequently.
Jimmy Maxey is 0 of 7 from the field. And a technical called on Calipari.
Well, Gene Steratore was right on the money. He said, don't think that he's not going to continue to officiate over there.
John Calipari is done. At the 12:36 mark of the second half here in Gainesville.
So he got a call that last trip with the free throws, but then he keeps going at the officials, and then all of a sudden it didn't take long.
He went up right to the boundary of the coaching box. It's something he said. It's
yeah, that
wasn't the drift.
That was a comment that got him on that one.
So Gene Steratore, you watch this all unfold as well.
Yeah, I did, Ian, and as you guys just said, something was said. Doug Shiles being the referee in the game, and the referees understand as well. Look, when there's a couple of tough plays that they may have a differing opinion on whether it's a foul or not, you allow a coach to vent, and that's fine, and then you get away. But now when you walk past a coach, just by what I've seen, it looks like Coach Kyle said something to Doug that just crossed that bridge where it can't be acceptable whatsoever, and he knows that he's ejecting him with it as well.
Yep, I agree. So they get 2 free throws right here. Then they get a team foul against them. And you just get more momentum if you're Florida.
Well, Calipari's back on the bench because it's not an official ejection. Calipari thought he was done.
Because the first one was a box technical, leaving the box. In terms of coming out of the box, the first was a warning, then he gets a second one's a technical. Gene, you want to clarify that?
Yeah, he's right on. The first one is a bench tee. You can get 2 bench tees and 1 direct against the coach, or 2 direct against the coach. So he actually has 1 more bench type technical before he would have to go. So they did do the right thing there by bringing him back as well.
So there was a moment where Doug Shiles chatted with Kenny Payne and the coaching staff, and then John Calipari came back from the locker room area onto the floor.
Maybe Cal was just pulling himself together right there. And we spoke to him last night. He wasn't feeling all that well last night. So, but the other part of this is the score, and it's starting to work really in the favor of Florida right now with all the commotion and distraction going on from the Kentucky side.
And another free throw here for Bassett. It's a 15-point Gators lead. John Calipari remains on the Kentucky sideline. That first technical was after the second time they caught him outside the coach's box. Maxey, big rejection by Payne. Nembhard looks to the corner. Locke takes it in. The floater is good and one.
And that's a good call by the officials down this end with Sestina. Going through the middle of the floor, but what a monster block down the other end of the floor. Well, Kentucky thinks, well, we're going to try to get ourselves back on the free throw line and drive it towards the basket. But here's the other side of the floor where they have the hit. And going to go to the line for an extra shot. Go straight up. Keep your body away. Wow, even when you slam down, that's pretty impressive.
It's been a Gator celebration, at least the student section behind us. They have been into it from the opening tip and including pregame warmups. All right, here was the storyline coming in. Ashton Hagen's not part of the trip for Kentucky. They are missing his 11.5 points. They are missing his assist skills, and they're missing his defense.
All of those things are correct, Ian, and also the ability to set people up, and it's affected Maxey in terms of his rhythm on the floor.
Noah Locke gets the roll. So Nembhard, Locke, and Lewis have all played well. The Florida backcourt has taken advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, we said right at the beginning of this broadcast that there would be an offensive and defensive experience, that they'd have a lot of opportunities, and they've taken advantage of it.
Richards, the ball ricocheted back into his hands, and he gets the stuff. 57-41, Florida. Nembhard, the curl to the rim, and the finish.
Just as you touched on a second ago, the guards for Florida, the wing players have really complemented one another very well.
Upstairs, Maxey to Richards, and he slams it down for the Wildcats. 16-point lead for the Gators. Just over 9 minutes gone by in this second half. Maxey with 6 assists, stepping in for Hagans. Nembhard, kick out for Locke. Juzang draws the assignment. Hard screen from Bassett.
Good spot up by Lewis just then, make himself found.
Lewis, he searched for the body, and he got it from Brooks.
Yeah, and he also searched for the ball to make it easier for a catch. So Richards going to work here. He gets one to fall right into his hands. Good effort by Richards to stay around. And here goes the upstairs play with the alley-oop to finish it off. Just not enough of that action for Kentucky against the matchup zone today.
And that's 3 fouls on Keon Brooks Jr. Scotty Lewis back to the free throw line where he is 6 of 7 today. When he signed on with Florida, there were some Corey Brewer comparisons.
Good one. Yep.
Just physically, you can see the length of Lewis, and they believe he can be a serious defensive difference maker. Changes on both sides as Brooks sits for Kentucky. And now Locke and Payne will head to the bench for Florida. Lewis, a slasher. He's always moving, always active.
And at the beginning of this game, Kentucky, well, you can't do that.
Didn't throw off Lewis.
No. It did get him to stop, though. One of the few times Florida's been thrown off their rhythm this afternoon.
Gators up by 17.
And they're trying to get Richards active in the middle of the floor.
Richards, no on the banker. Sestina, the follow for Kentucky.
And Sestina went straight up. Not over the back, but straight up. Didn't body bump, didn't put that hand on the back of the lower back of the defender. Little zone look now, 2-3 look again for Kentucky.
This is a Florida team that averages 72 points per game. They've got 60 with 10 minutes to play. Floater doesn't go as Mann got to the cup.
You know, Kentucky could use right now a Tyler Hero.
You think?
From last year's team.
I think every team in the country could use a Tyler Hero.
Just to break something open. They're just not getting anything going on the perimeter is being guarded well.
Quickley around the perimeter. The Maxey 3 is good.
That was a nice drive on the left side by Quickley, and then the hockey pass to get it around out to the wing, and then a second pass, especially with the shot clock winding down.
Kentucky cuts it to 12, and Mike White wants to have a chat with his team. Maxey, his first field goal of the day, now 1 of 9, but he's on target from deep for the Wildcats. CBS Sports college basketball coverage is sponsored by Verizon, the network more people rely on. Zaxby's, featuring fresh-made chicken tenders, wings, and salads. And by Progressive. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Coming up Wednesday on CBS for 20 Survivor champions, a surprise tribe swap will completely change the game. A new Survivor, Winners at War, Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on CBS. Gators have lost Kerry Blackshear Jr. to a left wrist injury. Foul trouble for Kentucky, Quickley with 4, Brooks and Richards 3 apiece. And Keontae Johnson, the leader of this Florida squad, with 3 fouls. Johnson is on the floor, along with Mann, Lewis, Payne, who has been a serious factor here, and Nembhard.
He's made the most Payne has of his 10 minutes of action with 4 points and 3 blocks. And let's see how Florida handles the matchup zone. So you see that high screen trying to get some one-on-one action.
Johnson slicing, he's tripped.
So there's a little bit of a difference from both ends of the floor. Kentucky comes down and puts a matchup together, and what do you see? You see a high screen, and initially you go trying to go towards the basket. And that releases a little bit to be able for your partner out on the wing to make things happen.
And that's it.
That's
number 5 for Quickley.
So now no Hagans, who did not make the trip, and no Quickley in the backcourt. What they call a 3-point guard lineup is now down to one, and that's going to be Maxey, who's going to really have to show his combo skills in terms of trying to score even more from the backcourt.
Florida in front, 61-48.
But as you just touched on, Maxey's only 1 for 9 from the floor. So what's his confidence level at right now?
Kentucky will be the #1 seed in the SEC tournament, winning the regular season championship for the 49th time in program history. Sestina gives it up. Juzang
covering up the shooters, aren't they?
Brooks the J. He's got it. It's a 3.
Nice fill there by Brooks. Don't settle and be in the corner when your guy is going to the left side of the floor. So all of a sudden a pretty big bucket here. Let's see what Kentucky can do playing undermanned at the backcourt spot.
8-1 run. Lewis gets into the paint. Bank shot goes. And a foul.
Just a brilliant game he's played this afternoon. Right from the beginning of this game, he was the most active Gator on the offensive side of the floor in particular. And here he gets bumped out of his shot. And watch him with the little ball fake coming. Just a slight one. Boom, there it is. Get the defender leaning just a touch. You get the call, but more importantly, he puts that shot in.
18 for Scotty Lewis out of the Ranney School in New Jersey. This crowd which erupts when Kentucky is on the offensive end trying to jar the Wildcats. They go quiet completely when Florida goes to the free throw line.
And in the first matchup a couple of weeks ago, Lewis had 2 points in like 14 minutes, so not a factor.
Kaboom! Juzang a 3.
And to my eye, you look at Kentucky right now, even though they're still down to 10, the body language isn't bad. It's still pretty good. I mean, they're starting to pick one another up. Let's see if they can get a stop defensively, though.
They are 7 of 11 from three-point territory. Juzang has shot it well.
And he's only 31% on the season.
Roll to the rim. Payne nearly lost it. Surrounded. Couldn't finish it twice.
Oh, the second one was the one that he wanted again.
And he saved it to Kentucky.
Shooter.
Same spot. Juzang short. But he fills the spot and comes away with the offensive rebound.
Nice smart play to get it out of there, too. After the one dribble, he had a little double team coming his way.
7:22 remaining in Gainesville. Kentucky trying to make a run. And reaching in is Keontae Johnson. The one Gator in foul trouble, and he has just picked up his 4th.
So fill it up, find your footwork, turn and fire away.
Ten-point lead for Florida. You look at the numbers for Kentucky on the road in the SEC. They've actually shot the 3 very well, and that's playing out here today in Gainesville. Ian Eagle, Jim Spinarco. You find out about teams in adversity as well. No Ashton Hagans, Quickley fouls out, and we're finding out a little something about Kentucky here.
Yeah, you really do, and one of the things about it, it's a lot because it's all focused on the backcourt, too, which makes it very, very difficult, especially on the road. But Kentucky has to continue to just drive and try to make things happen as much as they possibly can. And it's not going to be easy on the road. But down right now with 10 points. They've been trying to get that ball to Richards a little bit more. And here's a straight-up man-to-man effort. Bring the ball and slide it to the sides and then look for him down low.
Good fight from the Wildcats, though.
There's the side, and then you get him down low. Give it back to him. Good move.
Richards back in, goes to the left hand.
He might have gotten hit.
He did.
So loud behind us, you can't hear the whistle.
I can barely hear you, Jimmy. Forget about the whistle.
So here it is. It's the release, and then all of a sudden, the best thing you can do as a big guy is when you catch it down low and you don't feel comfortable, kick it out to the wing, be patient, give it up, because you will get it back, because the big guy behind you generally will release a little bit and say, all right, I don't have to defend again. Next thing you know, the ball's right in your hands.
First foul on Payne. Johnson with 4 personals for Florida. He is back on the Gators bench. Quickley is fouled out. Brooks and Richards 3 apiece. It's back to single digits. And Richards has another free throw coming. 76% on the season.
It's amazing that 4 guys for Kentucky shoot better than 76%. 80% total as a team. That's a little bit of a way to chip back into this ball game if you get a couple of stops.
Gators interaction 19-11 on the season, 11-6 in conference play. They've got a 64-56 lead on Kentucky. Locke has shot it well. Matched up with Sestina on the perimeter.
And remember, a different look without Blackshear on the floor.
Locke off the drive, the spin, and a travel.
Yep. That was getting close to an offensive foul anyway, so they'll take that travel.
Coming up Tuesday on CBS, the hunt is on for the most dangerous criminals in America. The new hit thriller, FBI Most Wanted, Tuesday at 10, 9 Central on CBS.
And they just ran one set for Richards on the right side. Let's see if they continue to go back to that. Same set. Pass to the side. Let's see if they can find them. Not that trip, though.
Sestina, shot clock down to 10. Maxey with a head of steam, squeezes in. Wow. Sestina, the follow jam.
How did Maxey get that shot off with all the traffic around him defensively? Explosive to the basket and a terrific follow-up.
And Kentucky has cut it to 6 thanks to a 7-0 run.
So sometimes you can play with, they know they're undermanned, and sometimes the psychology of the game comes in. You say, hey, we shouldn't be in this game, but let's just go after it. And you play a little better normally when the pressure's off a bit.
Working around the perimeter. Locke with 7 to shoot.
Nice drive.
Nembhard gives it up, roll to the rim, and the easy layup. Dante Bassett.
All because that ball started on the right side of the floor. They drift it back to the left just like Mike White once. Then you bring it back towards the middle right side. Good decision just then by Nembhard.
It's an 8-point game. We approach 5 minutes to play, second half.
He's good with.
Richards is fouled once again. Bassett claims that he was straight up and down. The officials didn't see it that way.
So here's the ball. Points down the other side.
The Kentucky Wildcats are 8 of 8 at the free throw line. And Nick Richards, who is certainly playing a larger role offensively. They're working the offense through him here in the later stages of the second half. We'll get a second free throw. Bassett sits. And Keontae Johnson back in, playing with those 4 fouls for Florida.
So, and this is the 10th free throw attempt, of which they've made 9. Great percentage, but they average 23 attempts per game. All right, so long way to go to get to that number.
And now EJ Montgomery in, replaces Richards. This is where Calipari has some flexibility. He can move Montgomery to the middle of that zone if necessary. Or they play man for man right now.
Yeah, much better communication, too. You can see guys talking to one another and watching them point and help one another. Nice deflection. Where'd it go? Over Maxey's head. He didn't see it.
Yep, Maxey couldn't locate it. There was a chance there for a Kentucky steal. 15 to shoot for Florida. 5:05 on the game clock.
Not your ideal spot to be inbounding the basketball.
From the corner, Nembhard gets it in for Locke. Matched up with a big Montgomery. Locke. They came over on the double. Shot clock at 5. Lewis taking it at Sestina. Banging bodies. Flip. No. Rebounded by Brooks.
Yeah, Lewis threw the body the first time. That was a good no call, and I like the no call on the second one. Sestina played that perfectly.
Now Sestina has the guard. Lewis trying to defend him. Swing it. Brooks. Pull up. It goes. Keon Brooks Jr. showing off some of the repertoire.
And a perfect decision by him also, because if he kept floating towards the basket, he would have picked up an offensive foul, forcing Mike White and Florida to talk things over. But watch on the left side here. You can go all the way. If you do, you're going to pick up a charge. Nice decision with the mid-range is back.
A ticket to the big dance is still on the line. 4 teams in the Patriot League. It all wraps up on Wednesday with the championship at 7:30 on CBS Sports Network. Blackshear will not return because of a left wrist issue. The ice pack is off. Quickley is fouled out. Hagens didn't make the trip for Kentucky. Jimmy, it was 57-39 Gators. Since then, the Wildcats have outscored Florida 22-9.
Yeah, and one of the things too is that without Blackshear, you just touched on the post presence. They like to get him the ball in the post, and they don't have that option except for the fact that they're trying to get guards to post up. It's a little different look.
Nembhard does have post-up abilities. Working on the smaller Maxey. Gets it up. Lewis missed it with the left hand. Rebound controlled by Kentucky and Maxey. A rush up the floor for the Wildcats. 4 minutes to play.
And a good decision to veer to his left there. Nothing going on the break.
Richards pops and hits. It rattles home for Nick Richards.
That's where they're talking about him for contention of Player of the Year in the SEC this year. Stepping away from 15.
15 points for Richards. 3-point lead for Florida.
The bigs are moving. Watch out.
High-low. He does it all in one motion. Omar Payne.
Yeah, Montgomery vacated that time from down low. Missed assignment. Florida just picked it apart.
68-63, Florida.
The trick for Kentucky is not to be rattled. Good idea to get Richards the ball. Look at him pushing away. Get out of my way. I want to go one-on-one.
Shot clock winding down. Maxey thought about the repost. Instead, zigzags to the rim. Missed it. Follow!
Maxey is so good, Ian, when he's losing his balance, as at least getting the shot up to the glass, which allows somebody to get an offensive rebound. That time, Richards.
17 points, 15 in the second half for Nick Richards. 68-65 Gators. Jumper is off from Noah Locke. Out of bounds, Kentucky takes over in a one-possession game.
So we'll take a look at Richards, who has really developed from his first 2 years with Kentucky to his third year here, where he's just finishing things off. Just a remarkable season that he's having, shooting it at about 66% on the season.
Kentucky is shooting 50% in the second half. They trail by 3. We're down to 2:35 remaining. Juzang, entry. Richards, the back end. Oh, he's locked in!
I remember in the first half he was 1 for 7, and we talked at the halftime about where he was catching the ball. And 2 times he almost had the bottom of the rim block his shot because he was too close. Very good adjustment both by John Calipari and his big star center Richards.
Johnson puts it on the floor, drives inside for 2.
Nice pace to this game too, as we come under close to the 2-minute mark.
70-67 Gators.
There's Richards again. Somebody got to double team him to get that ball out of his hands. There you go.
Richards turns, denied by Payne, fades, rims out.
Nice squeeze in the double team. A little change there by Mike White, and his guy from the left side, the weak side, came over to help out.
Florida up by 3, 1:38 to play. Nembhard trying to take it in on Richards, sticks with him defensively.
Oh, almost by Montgomery.
Gators save it. Nembhard to the rim, left-handed shovel, no. Richards the board.
Boy, was Richards ever so good defensively just then, that trip against Nembhard outside. About 15 feet away, you see Richards at 6'11", sliding his feet, making things happen.
John Calipari takes the timeout for Kentucky. Take it to the big dance right here on CBS. Game reset, each team with a timeout remaining. Florida is already in the double bonus. Possession arrow belongs to the Gators. 1:19 on the clock. This extended 30-11 run for Kentucky has put the pressure on Florida. Down by 3.
Wow, Maxey had to do everything he could to keep that ball from being stolen just then. There's that side pass. Notice on this side the cheat right there.
Brooks leans in. 1-point game. Keon Brooks gets to the 10.
So when they're trying to get it to Richards, the double team makes it difficult to pass it into him. So smart basketball to drive it by the defenders, make them pick you up.
Under a minute to play. 70-69 Gators. Johnson crosses over. Knocked out of there. fired by Montgomery, and it's out of bounds off of Kentucky with 11 to shoot.
And Montgomery may have had the arm on the shoulder just then, but see how their attention is going towards Richards? Nice decision there by Brooks.
And a timeout called with 39.1 on the game clock. Coming down to the wire in Gainesville. It is a review to see who touched it last. As Montgomery got in there defensively, the call on the floor was Florida possession.
You see Montgomery reaching above and hitting him on the shoulders. Both sides, I think that should have been a call.
And it was a scrape down by Montgomery. No foul was called, but clearly, at least from our look, it was off of Montgomery last.
Yeah, and that was the Brooks bucket.
Florida leads by 1, 11 seconds left on the shot clock. The question is whether they will retain possession here.
All right, so here's the drive, and there's the contact that goes uncalled. Yeah,
slapped down by Montgomery.
Down, and nobody came after the basketball.
With possession.
Yep.
So it allows Mike White to chart something up for his guys. Sometimes when a player flails, often they could tip the ball inadvertently. That didn't happen.
I didn't see anything there. To watch, remember, they had a lob dunk that worked. So let's see if they close the middle of the floor. And if the outside opens up, they better hurry and get this in, though.
Nembhard, does get it in.
Barely.
Lewis, 9 to shoot. Florida up by 1. Nembhard on a switch.
Don't be afraid to drive the big guy.
Nembhard, kick. Lewis, he lost it. And a shot clock violation. Kentucky extends out defensively, and Lewis couldn't get a clean shot off. Kentucky will have the ball with 27 seconds left, down by 1.
You talk about team efforts defensively. The bobble just then obviously cost them, and also Brooks goes up straight up, very close to a guy who's going to flail or let a shot go. But Florida up 1, Kentucky. Let's see if they have an answer.
Kentucky is out of timeouts. They have possession, down by 1 with 27 seconds to play here at the O-Dome in Gainesville. The Wildcats have come all the way back from an 18-point deficit.
And with 27 seconds left, some people say on the road you go for the win. I'm not one of those people. I don't think you need to shoot in the first 7 seconds, but around the 10-second mark, I'd play this aggressively to just go after it, drive it. If you don't get what you want, make sure you continue to go after the basket.
Richards gives it up, 15 seconds left. The move, Brooks doesn't get the roll, it's tipped home,
that might have been
on the cylinder.
That ball hung up there for a fraction of a second longer because of the spin that was on the ball.
And the officials will take a look.
Let's take a look is right.
Boy.
Oh.
That felt like it was coming
It's off there. Let's see.
Oof. This is going to be a huge call.
Oof.
It was tipped upstairs, and Montgomery then jumped in for the second tip.
Right, so the way I look at this sometimes, can you see the floor down below right now? There. I don't know, it looks like there's some clearance. Looking from the down angle to see if you can see the floor.
Gene Steratore just saw the same sequence of replays. He's back in New York. Gene?
And I think there's 2 things to look at. Let's remember now the new rule. If the officials on the court rule goaltending or backseat interference and the ball goes in, they can now review that, which is what has occurred. So they are applying the new rule. With that said, the angle that we're looking at now has a little distortion because of what is like a fisheye on the bottom because of that camera. So they will make sure that that ball was free of that cylinder. This angle that we've just looked at now appears to me that the basketball is away from the cylinder, and they will count that as a good tap, and that's what my opinion is on the reviews that I've seen so far.
Yeah, just looking to see if there was any space there. That's what we've been taught through the years. Do you see any airspace? There was just a shade of space as the ball was maneuvering towards the rim for Montgomery.
Can you see the backboard between it, right?
Yep.
There. I'm in agreement with you on that, Gene. It'll be interesting to see what they make. And the Kentucky bench just told us what the call is.
Yeah, they're going to count it for Kentucky. And the Wildcats have their first lead of the day.
You know, I think from the
71-70.
officials, too. It's a really good job for the officials to implement themselves, and the only way they can is to stop it and say goaltending. So it was a great job so they could look at it and clean it up and make sure they got it right.
And here we go. 11.8 on the clock. Florida is down by 1.
Get it in and get it up the floor as quickly as you can with Nembhard. And maybe you kick it out if there's no drive.
8 seconds left. Nembhard to the rim. Ball knocked around. Out of bounds. Kentucky ball. Turnover, Gators.
Nembhard did the correct thing in terms of driving it quickly down. And then all of a sudden they're looking at the corner, and what happens? Kentucky reads that if you're going out of bounds and you're driving the baseline on the right side, where do you go with the ball generally? You go to the weak corner or the middle of the floor. Too tight to go to the middle of the floor. They try to go to the corner, and Kentucky snuffs it out.
Noah Locke got a piece of it right at the end on a double tip. It went through the hands of Montgomery. Juzang got in there. And it's there. Locke made the second effort.
The second effort. Because here it's off Kentucky, and now
if Locke backs off there,
yeah, that looks as if he touches it to me. So there's clearly probably both of them touching it there. I think if he doesn't touch it, it remains Florida ball, but it looked like he touched that basketball after the bounce, right?
Yeah, you see how the ball moved.
And in the direction it's going.
It's Kentucky ball. Back-to-back Florida turnovers. And now the Wildcats up by 1 with 4.7 left. Kentucky was down by 18 points on the road. And they're now in a position to win the game. They've added 0.2 of a second, 4.9.
Florida has the possession arrow, so they have a second to reach if they get an opportunity to reach in to try to get a tie-up. But remember, Kentucky is a great free throw shooting team.
Get it in for Richards. They do foul with 3.4.
So you have a big guy, experienced, 76% free throw shooter.
And it's 1-1, just the 8th team foul on Florida. Third highest in the nation behind Northeastern and North Dakota State. The Kentucky Wildcats are 9 of 10 this afternoon. Richards walks away from the line.
So a lot of moving parts right here, Ian, with the free throws. If he hits the 2 of them, then you have a 3-point game. Florida does have a timeout. Then the question of whether or not you go into a fouling mode. If you're Kentucky going down the other end of the floor.
First things first.
Yep.
First free throw, Richards, a deep breath. Wow. Short. Timeout. 2.6 on the clock. And the door is open for the Florida Gators. 71-7. No timeouts remaining. 2.6. They have added half a second, so now 3.1 left. Florida with possession, down by 1 to Kentucky.
So we'll take a look again at 2 key plays right now. The tip in for Kentucky. And it was reviewed, and the assessment was made that it was okay. And then the other end, here's the deflection. Ball hits the floor, and 10 in white. Locke is the last one to touch it. So one of the things that has to occur right now, Ian, is one of the guards And if it can be Nembhard, that's great. Has to catch this ball and almost doing a curl cut going up the floor. But you only have time for, if you get the curl cut and your momentum is going towards the other your basket, you probably have time for 3 dribbles to get it up. But you don't need all 3 unless you're going to be the only shooter. If you get 1 dribble, 2 dribbles, pushing it up the floor, and then look for a guy in the open floor up ahead, you look for that. Let's see if Kentucky, though, puts somebody on the ball right now to make that more difficult.
Florida was in control, up 18 with 11:48 to play. Kentucky was undermanned. Ashton Hagans didn't make the trip. Emmanuel Quickley fouled out. And yet here we are. The Wildcats lead it 71-70.
So here's where I want my front line, right? The first guys, I want that wave. Let them catch it going towards the right when we're looking at this, and don't let them turn the corner and get a head start.
Johnson gets it in. Nembhard. He'll toss it up for the win. Rimming. Oh, it's no good. Kentucky storms back and steals one in Gainesville. You gotta love March.
Oof, fabulous. Nothing short of fabulous.
71-70. The Wildcats win it.
So this is everything you can ask for. A little momentum going towards the basket, gets his couple of dribbles, and nearly gets that little float up in the air. The second, I thought the second one there, you see where it kicks off just to the left.
Kentucky wraps up the regular season 15-3. They are the 1 seed going into the SEC tournament. Florida takes the loss, and a tough one at that. 11-7 in the conference.